In the 240th year of the Huaxia era, a mysterious invasion occurred, and unfortunately, 18-year-old Li Xiang was involved in it. What is our goal? A glimmer of excitement flashed in his eyes. System. Make trouble, make trouble. Cross out, system. Die, die, die. Cross out, system. Rich, rich, rich. Guidelines for survival in polluted areas, 1. Please remember that you are human, with one head, 2 arms and 2 legs, 1 pair of eyes and 1 pair of ears, 1 nose and 1 mouth. Please remember the correct time and keep it in mind the rules are correct, and the rules are also incorrect. Don't take the wrong path when you came. The person you trust the most is yourself. Chapter 1. Strange Arrival. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Li Xiang thought he would pass the age of 18 smoothly, but on the last day of 18, he encountered strangeness. Huaxia apartment is a closed apartment with complete facilities, food, drink, shelter, play, everything, and low rent. It is also equipped with 4 staff members. Property management ants, maintenance workers, cleaning ants, and security guards. It is the best place for disappointed young people and empty nest elderly people to live. Survival conditions, choose any one. 1. Collect all seals of the park. 2. Find a way to leave the apartment. 3. Stay for at least 5 days. In this dimly lit room, the only light source came from the computer screen in front of Li Xiang, which displayed an open document. Before Li Xiang could take any action, he was firmly attracted by the text on the screen. I am a street-fighting novel author. In order to pay high rent, I write tens of thousands of words every day. After updating like this for 10 consecutive days, I wanted to stop and rest for a while, but suddenly someone behind me called my name. I turned my head. I died. At the end of the document, Li Xiang felt a chill on his scalp, as if a chill had quietly struck from behind. Li Xiang. Li Xiang. A vague and eerie voice came from behind, like the whispers of ghosts, which suddenly tightened Li Xiang's heart. His muscles were tense, as if bound by invisible chains, stiff and unable to move. This voice seemed to be within reach of him, yet distant as if coming from another world. Li Xiang felt a cold sensation slowly climbing up his spine, as if someone was gently blowing air between his neck, causing a dense wave of goosebumps. The voice behind him was still calling out his name, and Li Xiang's eyes gradually lost focus. His consciousness swayed in the darkness, and his head slowly turned uncontrollably towards the source of the sound. Death value +30, the mechanical sound echoed in the mind, instantly awakening Li Xiang from the chaos. He turned back suddenly, moved too quickly, and let out a click sound. Damn it, it's up to my neck. Li wanted to cover his neck and scream for pain loudly, but the eerie sound behind him forced him to swallow the scream and could only silently mourn in his heart. Li Xiang. This time, the sound of calling out his name returned to normal. I don't know when the curtains were opened, and the sunlight filled the entire room, but even so, it couldn't dispel the fear in Li Xiang's heart. Dong dong dong. The knocking on the door was deafening, as if it was about to shatter the door panel. Every strike was like a heavy hammer falling on Li Xiang's heart, making him shudder. Every sound of Li Xiang had an irresistible impulse to turn his head, but as soon as the thought came out, Li Xiang thought of the mechanical sound and suddenly regained consciousness. The knocking on the door lasted for 5 minutes, and as the footsteps of the people outside gradually faded away, the knocking also slowly disappeared. After waiting for a minute and confirming that there were no further sounds around, Li Xiang dared to relax his guard, covering his neck as if he had escaped from the gates of hell, and exhaled a long breath. I'm scared to death. Halfway through my breath, I suddenly remembered something. Is it so easy to obtain death points here? I only get 35 death points in a year. No, if I had just turned my head, wouldn't I have been able to gain more kill points? Li Xiang realized later and realized later. Is there still time for me to turn back now? Host, The system 250 kindly reminds you that if you just turn your head over, you're dead. Dead, dead, dead. Isn't it that you're here? Li Xiang chuckled and his gaze slowly shifted downwards. There was a pure white paper on the table. He picked it up and took a look. Joyful apartment lifestyle rules. For the sake of your physical and mental health, please go to the rooftop park for exercise immediately after hearing the bell at 8 a.m. After exercising, please be sure to go back to your room and take the white pills in the drawer. This is good for you. 3. Please perform your duties in the room at 9 a.m. and stay until the property management ant asks you to go to the first floor for a group lunch. 4. For the first time out of the day, it is necessary to place the black garbage bag inside the room at the door. Apartment residents will not place the white garbage bag at the door. 5. The property management auntie maintains the order of Huaxia apartment and enthusiastically helps residents solve all their problems. If the property management auntie seeks your help, do not agree to it. Please take the red pills in the drawer before 14.00 and fall asleep on the sofa in the room. 7. The apartment does not have a 6th floor. If you see a floor display of 6F, please stand still and wait for 3 seconds with your eyes closed. Before 20 p.m., please take the black pills in the drawer, lock the door, turn off all the power in the room, and fall asleep. 9. Maintenance workers will not enter residents' rooms for no reason. If maintenance workers are found in the room, please immediately check if there is anything wrong in the room. 10. The cleaning lady cleans the hallway irregularly every day and takes away the black garbage bag at the entrance of the residence. If you encounter the cleaning lady in the hallway and call out to you, please do not respond, do not turn back, and do not look her in the eye. 11. Guardians protect the personal safety of apartment residents. If in danger, please call the security room number 584,250 immediately. You can only make one call a day, do not make a second call. Host, the 7th rule is completely incorrect, the 2nd and 8th rules are partially incorrect, and all other rules are correct. Is Article 6 actually correct? Before Li could call the system, the sound came again. Li Xiang, can you hear me? Li Xiang. With psychological preparation this time, he slowly turned his head around. Death value plus 50, a girl in a red dress stood in front of the window, her eerie black eyes fixed on Li Xiang. The next second, she returned to normal, so fast that Li Xiang thought what she had just seen was just her own illusion. Only this mechanical sound, which I don't know what it is, proves that what I saw before was not an illusion. Not dead, what a pity. The worry on the woman's face in the red dress disappeared, and she suddenly breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Huh. Li Xiang, fortunately you're okay. You scared auntie. It's time to go to the first floor for lunch. If you don't rush to the first floor in front of me, you know the consequences." After speaking, she blinked and looked playful. Li Xiang is a bit inexplicable. This girl has a beautiful appearance, her face is full of collagen, and her upper body figure is also very good. How can she call herself an ant? Without hesitation, he blurted out, "Who are you?" The woman in the red dress hesitated slightly. "I'm the property management auntie. Didn't I just see you during lunch yesterday? Why don't you recognize me now?" The woman in the red dress stared at Li Xiang, her eyes filled with deep suspicion. Her originally black pupils were slowly eroding the whiteness of her eyes, and behind her, a seemingly invisible black mist slowly surged, creating an eerie and oppressive atmosphere that swept over the young man in the chair. "It's over." Li Xiang sat on the chair, sweat sliding down his forehead, wetting his collar. He had a strong premonition that once the black completely covered the white of the woman's eyes, he would be in unpredictable danger. Killing value plus 5, killing value plus 5, deadly value. Mechanical sounds kept appearing in Li Xiang's mind, as if urging him. Li Xiang's eyes were fixed on him, and his mind kept spinning. What should I do? The black mist behind the woman became increasingly thick. Property management auntie, in a red dress, her hand hanging on her side occasionally tugs at the hem of the skirt with it. Li Xiang's eyes lit up. Isn't this the first time I saw you wearing this dress, the property management sister? You were so stunned by me. You look much younger and more beautiful, and I'm a bit afraid to recognize you. The property management aunt's pupils have recovered, and the next second her face will smile brightly as if a flower has bloomed. Oh my, I still miss young people, their eyes are sharp. Remember to go downstairs for dinner, I have to go call others. Let's go first. After speaking, he twisted and left. You bet right. The crisis quietly receded once again, and Li Xiang breathed a long sigh of relief. Wearing lightweight short sleeves, his back was soaked in sweat and pressed against his skin, as if he had experienced a fierce battle. Only those who wear a skirt for the first time will make awkward movements like pulling the hem from time to time. But the next second, he wished he could slap himself in the face. Have you forgotten your purpose? How could you become cowardly at a critical moment? Li Xiang covered his rapidly beating heart, with a slightly eerie smile on his lips. What a thrill! After looking at this room, it still takes some time to search. I don't know which floor I live on, whether it's far from the first floor or not. It would be terrible if I didn't make it before the property manager arrived. Li Xiang decided to wait until he finished his meal before returning to his room to conduct a thorough search. Just, gee. What the hell are these shoes that call one step at a time? Li Xiang feels a bit overwhelmed. Unable to find any other shoes at the door, Li Xiang endured a loud cry and arrived at the door. As soon as he opened the door, he saw the black garbage bag placed on the left side of the door. After pondering for a moment, he changed the black garbage bag to the right side. The other rooms are placed on the right side, so it's better not to be the one who stands out. Chapter 2. Eating Lunch. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. In front of Li Xiang's room is a staircase, which can be reached by walking a few steps. On the first floor, there is only a room on the side where Li Xiang is located, but on the other side of the stairs, there is only one elevator except for the stairs. The elevator arrow shows facing upwards, and someone is taking the elevator upstairs. Just as Li Xiang was about to walk up the stairs, he saw the rule paper pasted on the opposite wall with his sharp eyes. Code of Conduct for Apartment Floors, 1. Huaxia apartment does not have an elevator. There is no elevator. If you see an elevator, please leave the floor immediately before the elevator door opens. 2. There are red safety exit signs on the hallway, and there are also only red signs. If you see a green safety exit sign, please run in the opposite direction. 3. No noise or screaming is allowed in the hallway. If you see a small advertisement in the hallway, please tear it off immediately and hand it over to the property management staff. 250, check for any errors. Host, everything is correct. The apartment doesn't have an elevator, so the elevator I saw earlier. Li Xiang looked up again, and the upward arrow displayed on the elevator had disappeared at some point, replaced by the number 4, death rate +10, no, the elevator door is about to open. Without much time to think, Li Xiang quickly took off his screaming shoes and grabbed them in his hand, running frantically down the stairs. Apartment Hallway Rule 1. If you see an elevator, please leave the floor immediately before the elevator door opens. Apartment Hallway Rule 3. No noise or screaming in the hallway. Li Xiang felt very regretful in his heart. When he opened the door, he didn't see the room number on the door. He only wanted to hurry to the first floor without much thought. There was no defense against the elevator door opening, so Li Xiang's only thought at this moment was to use his fastest speed to leave the fourth floor. As he rushed towards the third floor, Li Xiang vaguely heard the sound of the wheels of cars ringing upstairs. Wait. The wheels of the car. Can it be a cleaning lady? An inexplicable fear surged in Li Xiang's heart. Happy Apartment Life Rule 10. The cleaning lady cleans the hallway irregularly every day and takes away the black garbage bag at the entrance of the residence. If you encounter the cleaning lady in the hallway and call you, please do not respond, do not turn back, and do not look her in the eye. Except for the cleaning lady, no one can push a car into the apartment, and the sound of the wheels suddenly appears, indicating that she is taking the elevator instead of the stairs. There is no elevator in Huaxin's apartment. A hint of contemplation flashed in Li Xiang's eyes. Coincidentally, he had just arrived on the first floor in the front foot, and the property management lady also came down from the stairwell in the back foot. Li Xiang's body trembled, and the intense exercise made his heart feel as if it was about to jump out of his chest. After taking a few deep breaths, he finally managed to sit on the dining chair. The others also sat down intermittently, with varying expressions. He looked around, observing the expressions on each face, and paused for a moment as he looked at a beautiful woman. The faces of others were filled with seriousness and fear, but she didn't feel any unease and looked very relaxed. The property management lady sat in her seat, looking at everyone present with a bright smile. Everyone is here, then let's move on. Not all. Not all. There's still me. Wait for me. A hurried sound came from the staircase. The next second, a sharp and piercing scream sounded, faintly mixed with the giggling of children. What sound is this? Killing value +5, the young man was panting heavily, taking big strides with his feet, his eyes fixed on the dining table, filled with longing. Just take 2 more steps and you'll be there. The property management auntie seemed oblivious and opened the lid in front of her, revealing the exquisite food and scooping a full spoonful. Mist surged behind the young man, enveloping him with an irresistible aura. His hand kept reaching forward, as if seeking help from the few people present. No one spoke or acted. The mist completely enveloped the young man, and after a scream, he regained his composure. The few people sitting stared straight at this scene, without any movement for a long time. After a while, the middle-aged woman, who was a bit older, regained her senses and asked in a daze. Is he dead? The man, covered in flesh and tendons, sneered twice. Upon hearing the mocking laughter, the middle-aged woman's face turned particularly ugly. From beginning to end, the property management aunties were all focused on eating the food in front of them, without looking up, as if they had not heard the middle-aged woman's words at all. The atmosphere at the dinner table was silent, with no one speaking, but the middle-aged woman felt like everyone was looking at her with contemptuous eyes, sitting on pins and needles. Suddenly, she stood up. Finally, the property management aunt stopped eating and looked straight into the eyes of the middle-aged woman. Are you sure you have finished your meal? Lian Chui's movements froze. Don't be fooled by her imposing posture just now. In fact, she doesn't even have the courage to look directly at the property management aunt. She had to sit down again, trying to treat everything as if it had never happened. But Yu Guang caught a glimpse of the muscular man with a contemptuous smile on his face, as if mocking her incompetence. In that moment, Lian Chui's anger became even more intense, and her rationality was burned away. It's over, I won't eat anymore. After finishing speaking, he didn't even glance at the others and left the first floor. Li Xiang. She's a fool, isn't she? As soon as she stepped up the stairs, Lian Chui's entire body was instantly shrouded in mist, devouring everything. Li Xiang is very familiar with this scene, he just saw it. It is the result of violating the rules. Except for Rule 3, there are no other rules related to lunch in the Code of Conduct. Thinking of another piece of rule paper he saw in the hallway, Li Xiang had an idea in his heart. So, there are other rule papers. The remaining few people looked at each other, but none of them moved their chopsticks. Everyone is waiting for others to eat first. But who wants to be the first white mouse to test the poison? I don't know who started purring from their stomach, but someone finally couldn't help but pick up a piece of bread and stuff it into their mouth. The woman sitting next to her snatched it over. Can't eat, don't add trouble. But I'm hungry. If my dad were here, he wouldn't want to starve me. Xiang pouted and muttered in a muffled voice, not touching the food on the table again. Why don't we introduce ourselves first? The pale-skinned man spoke and quickly pulled everyone's attention away. The woman who spoke earlier did not receive any punishment, indicating that speaking here does not violate the rules. Let me go first, Jianghuai. At the age of 18, it's my second time getting into a strange story. I got in twice at the age of 18. How unlucky this must be. The man with flesh and tendons all over his body said. Lei, who, 25 years old, has entered into strange talk for the third time. My name is Xiang, the youngest son of the head of the Lan family in the security zone. I am 18 years old and have entered into strange talk for the first time. Little chubby Xiang introduced himself with great solemnity, fearing that others might not know his family background. The beautiful woman casually said, Huarong. Li Xiang, at the age of 18, first entered into bizarre talk. After speaking, no one spoke again. Huarong's gaze was focused on admiring the manicure in her hand, and Xiang didn't dare to move without Huarong's command. She sat straight in her seat, lost in thought. Lei Hu and Jiang Huai's eyes scanned everywhere, as if searching for something. It seems that they have also guessed that there are new rules. Li Xiang's eyes also transformed into scanners scanning the entire desktop, searching for the clues of the new rule paper. Looking at the entire table, besides the cutlery, there are plates and lids. Is it possible that they are under the table? Suddenly, a crisp sound came up. Oh my, I accidentally dropped it, beautiful property management sister. Can I squat down and pick up the fork? It's Jianghuai. His expressionless and cold face instantly raised an obedient smile. Others. Beauty schemes. Upon hearing such a straightforward compliment, the property management auntie immediately smiled and smiled. It's okay, you can pick it up. I don't have many rules here. Everyone knows in their hearts that if there are not many rules, then there are rules. Jianghuai bent down and looked at the back of the table, holding his position for almost 30 seconds before finally shaking his head slightly at us. Mo-de. Where will the rule paper be hidden? Chapter 3. Lunch Rules. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Li Xiang recalled from the beginning where he found those two pieces of regular paper, one on the computer desk and the other on the staircase. The location is very clear and can be seen at a glance. I have searched around and below, and if we follow the spatial coordinate system, then only the ceiling remains. Looking up, the four big words, lunch rules, came into Li Xiang's eyes, and a glimmer of joy flashed in his heart. Sure enough. Others also imitated Li Xiang's movements. Lunch rules: bread is clean and harmless, and meat is absolutely not meant for you to eat. There are no mice on the table, and it is impossible for them to be there. If you see mice, please inform the property management aunt immediately. The rule of eating without words, sleeping without words, does not exist for the property management lady. After eating, please say to the property management lady, the bread you made is very delicious. Thank you for your hospitality. If the property management auntie asks you if there are any areas in the food that need improvement, don't mention any shortcomings, let alone the food that is not delicious. Please praise her hard. If the property management auntie talks to you about family matters, please be sure to respond to her. Host, error in section 2. The contradiction between the two can be easily seen at a glance. If there are no mice on the table, how could you possibly see them, let alone tell the property management aunt? Li Xiang's judgment on this is: the first half is right, and the second half is wrong. After reading the rule paper, Li Xiang no longer hesitated and opened the lid, revealing today's lunch. 2 pieces of cockroach-shaped bread emitting a smell of feces, and a bloody steak. This indescribable odor instantly invaded his nasal cavity, and Li Xiang's face turned pale. As an orphan and an exceptionally poor orphan, he did not have the opportunity to taste the delicious durian, and it was also the first time he smelled fecal food. "Xiao Xiang, you look very unhappy. Is it because the food I made is not good?" Li Xiang's body froze. The property management auntie looked a bit worried. If it weren't for seeing the eerie black mist emerging from behind, then the expression really seemed like seeking some advice. Death rate plus 20, Rule 4. If the property management auntie asks you if there are any areas in the food that need improvement, don't mention any shortcomings, let alone the food that is not delicious, please praise her hard. Li Xiang endured the urge to vomit while forcing a smile. "No, I had diarrhea this morning and my stomach was weak, so my face looked a bit ugly. The food cooked by the property management sister has always been delicious, but can I take it back to my room and enjoy it carefully before eating?" Li Xiang's mind was spinning and he took it back to his room. Who knows if he had eaten it? For this young man who was the first to praise her beauty and the first to call her sister, who looked very nice, the property management auntie felt that she should be more tolerant. "Sure, won't steak be eaten?" Li Xiang quickly waved his hand and said, "No, no, no, I won't eat it anymore. I heard that fresh steak can be used for beauty and beauty. As a grown man, I'll leave it rough for the property management sister to eat, making your already beautiful face even whiter and redder." Every word in these words was loved by the property management aunt, and she couldn't help but smile. Seeing this, Li Xiang breathed a great sigh of relief in his heart. Anyway, he finally managed to fool him. Before he could get up and leave, the little chubby guy across from him jumped up in fear. "Old!" Just as she shouted a word, she was pulled down by Huarong and covered her mouth. "Shut up, do you want to die?" He only made a sound, but everyone present knew that he was trying to say the word mouse. "Are you trying to say something, young man?" The smile on the corner of the property aunt's mouth widened, and a hint of excitement flashed in her eyes. Huarong covered Lan'ercha's mouth and answered for him. "Beautiful property management lady, I am his tutor. He may want to call me teacher, but I don't think he can speak well during meals, so I still don't let him speak well." From the perspective of rules, the property management aunties seem to particularly enjoy listening to compliments from others. So, does the young man also think the same way? Although praised, the property management auntie still hesitated and continued to ask Lan'ercha with a seductive tone in her voice. Unable to speak, Lan'ercha, who was tightly imprisoned, quickly nodded twice with his head pressed down. The property management auntie was a bit disappointed, but she didn't say anything more. The third rule of the survival guide to a strange world is that rules are true, and rules are also false. This is the experience personally summarized by players who have emerged from strange stories, and no one has ever doubted it. At first glance, this statement may seem a bit nonsensical, but upon careful consideration, one will understand that the meaning of the statement refers to whether the rules in the strange talk are true or false, but this requires judgment. The second rule of the lunch rule has a clear logical contradiction, indicating that the second rule contains incorrect information. This young man doesn't seem to notice at all and wants to shout at the mouse. It is said that wealthy individuals in the security zone will spend a lot of money hiring high-level players from the Strange Talk Research Institute to join the Strange Talk Protection Program in order to protect their 18-year-old family members from the rumors it's a big price. Unfortunately, I'm so poor. Don't be discouraged, the host. The system doesn't have anything else, but it's just so poor that you only have money left. As long as you work hard to obtain the kill value, the system will give you a lot of money as a reward. That's right, after entering the bizarre conversation, he had over 100 kill points at the beginning, which translates to over 10,000 yuan. Sent it. Sent it. The food you cooked is very delicious. Thank you for your hospitality. After saying this, Jianghui stood up and left without giving anyone any time to react. Lei Hu followed closely behind. This operation left Li Xiang in a daze, and he suddenly realized something in his heart. Rule 3 states that after finishing the meal, you should say to the property management auntie, "The food you cooked is delicious, thank you for the hospitality." However, it does not say that you must have the property management auntie respond before you can leave. This Jianghuai region is quite clever, they can actually find loopholes in it. With this in mind, Li Xiang and the other two also followed suit and returned to their respective rooms, not forgetting to take 2 pieces of bread in their hands. I didn't see that scary elevator this time. According to the number of times passed by the room, my room number should be 404. What an unlucky number! Just as he was about to open the door, Li Xiang's gaze paused as he scanned the black garbage bag at the door. Not taken away. The sound I just heard was not made by the cleaning lady. No, all the garbage bags placed in other rooms have been taken away. Just now was the sound of the cleaning lady coming over. But why is only one's own garbage not collected? Recalling his recent actions, Li Xiang's heart moved. At first, the garbage bag was placed on the left side, but it was changed to the other side in order to maintain consistency with other rooms. Is there a possibility that the cleaning lady will only collect the garbage on the left side? But all the other rooms are on the right, only my own is on the left. Suddenly, Li Xiang's body stiffened unconsciously and a word came to his mind. Distinguish. Chapter 4. Naps. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Returning to the room, without touching anything inside, Li Xiang just turned around and remembered the general situation of the room. He sat down on the chair when he woke up again. At present, he is only certain that sitting on this chair is safe, and it is better to be cautious when there is no information about other rooms. There is no balcony or kitchen in the room. There is a living room and a bedroom, with a toilet connected to the bedroom. The table for placing a computer is located in one corner of the living room. There was no eerie appearance, nor was there any new rule paper. After roughly browsing, Li Xiang began to carefully analyze the 11 apartment rules. Rule 7. The apartment does not have a 6th floor. If you see a floor display of 6F, please stand still and wait for 3 seconds with your eyes closed. Rule 7 is completely incorrect. So Huaxia apartment has a 6th floor, but we cannot see the floor displaying 6F. If you see it, you cannot stand still or wait for 3 seconds with your eyes closed. So the 6th floor is dangerous. Take a look at the other two. Rule 2. After exercising, please be sure to go back to your room and take the white pills in the drawer. This is good for you. Rule 8. Before 20 p.m., please take the black pills in the drawer, lock the door, turn off all the power in the room, and fall asleep. Rules 2 and 8 are partially incorrect. Rule 8 states to turn off all power sources, which Li Xiang believes is correct. After waking up and seeing the document on the computer, I received a series of kill points, indicating that the computer has a certain level of danger. Conversely, it is reasonable to turn off all the power in the room. But taking black pills and locking the door properly. Rule 6 is correct. To take the white pills mentioned in Rule 6, you must open the drawer, so opening the drawer is safe. Li Xiang opened the drawer in the room and indeed saw 5 black pills lying quietly, in addition to 4 white pills and 5 red pills. 250, help me test the black medicine. No, test all the pills. Tests have shown that black and white tablets are highly polluting and not recommended for consumption. Red tablets have a certain inhibitory effect on mental pollution and are edible. Without getting the desired answer, Li Xiang looked puzzled. This is strange. Firstly, it was determined that the incorrect information in the rule was taking black pills. The information about locking the room is uncertain, but according to bizarre logic, it is most likely correct. But Rule 2, given that white pills cannot be consumed, how can the latter half of the sentence be correct? Li Xiang was puzzled by his thoughts. In addition, Rule 5 also attracts Li Xiang's attention. If the property management auntie seeks your help, do not agree to it, and in Rule 3. Stay until the property management aunt calls you. Is the property ant who seeks help still the one who is enthusiastic about helping residents solve problems, as the front and back ta are different? Rule 11 is already impressive. You can only call the security guard's phone number once a day, but whenever you encounter danger and call the security guard's phone number, the security guard will come forward to protect you. If there is no indication of which danger it is, it means that all dangers can be dialed. What if it's a property management ante facing it? Which of these two eerie ones is stronger? There was a faint excitement in Li Xiang's heart. There is nothing in the room that can observe time, the only thing that can see time is the computer. Rule 6. Please take the red pills in the drawer before 14.00 and fall asleep on the sofa in the room. It's already 1.40 now. Li Xiang quickly swallowed the red pill, lay on the sofa, closed his eyes, and prepared to fall asleep. Death rate +10. What is the situation? Li Xiang suddenly stood up and looked around. No abnormalities were found. The increase in the dead value is reminding Li Xiang of the abnormality in the room. 250, what happened just now? Why did the kill value suddenly increase? Sorry host, 250 cannot interfere too much. Please explore on your own. Li Xiang calmed down and began to recall all the actions he had taken earlier. Sitting on the computer chair, there was no sound from the dead end. Take the red pill, but it doesn't make a sound. Lying on the sofa, making no noise. Close your eyes. It rings. Li Xiang was somewhat silent. How can I sleep without closing my eyes? The increase in death value is nothing more than two situations. One is encountering eerie situations, and the other is violating rules that lead to eerie situations. And the first situation that Li Xiang experienced at the beginning was that the death penalty value continued to increase. So now we are facing the second situation. Violated the rules. I understand, there are rules for taking a nap, just like the rules for lunch. This can also explain why following the apartment lifestyle guidelines has increased the value of killing. With lunch experience, Li Xiang quickly found a small piece of rule paper stuck on the left side of the sofa. Nap rules: please make sure the TV is turned on before falling asleep. After falling asleep, do not open your eyes until you hear the bell. If someone calls you to open your eyes in your ear, do not open them. Do not open your eyes. So it's not because of closing your eyes that the mortality rate changes, but because you didn't turn on the TV before going to bed with your eyes closed. Li Xiang pressed the remote control switch, and the TV screen lit up. A pale face suddenly caught his eye. This ghost face appeared without warning, catching Li Xiang off guard. He suddenly leaned back, his heart beating like a drum, and hurriedly turned off the TV. Later on, I quickly realized that this was just a picture on the TV screen, not a real ghost. He breathed a slight sigh of relief, but the fear in his heart did not completely dissipate. He tried to turn on the TV again, but the ghost face still stubbornly occupied the entire screen, eerie, as if he was about to emerge from the screen. Upon careful observation, he noticed a subtle change in the expression of the ghost face's gaze. A hint of resentment appeared in the originally empty and lifeless eyes. Close it again, open it again. Ghost faces still occupy the entire screen, staring at the camera with anger in their eyes. Death value +50, oh no. It's a real ghost. Everyone is so angry and hasn't come out to seek revenge yet. It seems there are some restrictions. Isn't this enough to score? Close it again, open it again. The killing intent in the ghost face's eyes grew stronger and stronger. I don't know if it's his illusion, but it seems to be getting closer to the camera. Chapter 5. Go to the first floor. You are listening at novel full.audio. Death value +70, close it again, open it again. Its eyes are no longer visible on TV, replaced by its wide-open mouth. Not coming out yet. It's okay, there's still a little more to do. Death rate +100, after turning on and off the TV several times, Li Xiang discovered the pattern. As long as the TV screen goes black, ghosts inside can move freely, and as soon as the TV was turned on, the ghost seemed to be frozen in place. Turn on the TV and stop the ghost, so that when you fall asleep on the sofa, the ghost won't come out and eat people. Li Xiang murmured, but he still felt a bit uneasy and felt like he had overlooked something. I ran to the computer and glanced at the time, 13:53. Returning to the sofa and catching a glimpse of the TV, it felt like a blow to the head. The TV was on, and the ghost moved again. At this moment, the malicious smile on the ghost's face could no longer be suppressed. The speculation just now is completely wrong. When the TV is turned on, ghosts can also move. The living rules of the apartment must be followed, and one must fall asleep on the sofa before 14:00 and not open their eyes. If you can't open your eyes, isn't that being slaughtered by ghosts? Li Xiang's figure trembled slightly, and the sweat on his face increased. Where exactly did the judgment go wrong? The time has arrived at 13:55, and there are still 5 minutes left. You must fall asleep before 14:00. Li Xiang's face turned pale, his fingers stiffened, and his knuckles shook uncontrollably. He breathed heavily, trying to calm down. Calm down, time is running out. Now, look back on everything that happened just now, turn off and turn on the TV again, and move forward step by step. Turn on the TV, walk to the computer desk to check the time. Wait, computer desk. The computer desk is located on the left side of the TV, and when going to watch the computer, the back is facing the TV. That is to say, people cannot see TV at this time. Li Xiang's heart moved. Sight. As long as the ghost is not in sight, it can move freely, and as soon as it appears in sight, it cannot move. Give it a try. Li Xiang closed his eyes, opened them for a second. The ghost's hand has already reached out halfway. That's right. But the question is, according to the rules, one must close their eyes and fall asleep. How can one restrain ghosts while falling asleep? Sight. Sight. Li Xiang had some thoughts in his heart. He stared at the TV while tilting towards the computer desk, picked up his laptop, and returned to the sofa in the same way. Stare at the TV, then at the computer, stare at the TV, then at the computer. Li Xiang quickly opened the computer camera and aimed it at the TV. 13:59 minutes, only 1 minute left. At this point, both hands of the ghost had already been fully extended, and their heads had also been halfway extended. Last attempt. Li Xiang took a deep breath, worked hard to calm his fear, closed his eyes, and the computer was completely aimed at the TV screen. Opening his eyes again, the ghost still maintained the same posture as before and succeeded. Without considering anything else, Li Xiang quickly lay on the sofa, closed his eyes and fell asleep, but his body remained vigilant at all times. The heart beats violently, bang bang. Think about it. Is this the voice of the dean's mother? In no time, the old yet loving voice came again. How old are you and still bedridden? Xiaola is still waiting for you to play with him. I haven't been bedridden for a long time, Li Xiang thought with some displeasure, and was even more angry about the latter part of the conversation. Jianglu has already passed away, Dean Mom, not right. Li Xiang suddenly woke up. This is a strange talk about rules, not an orphanage. The orphanage has long closed down, and the dean's mother has passed away. I personally buried it. Xiaola also starved to death, and I watched him leave. Rule 2 of nap rules. After falling asleep, do not open your eyes until you hear the bell. If someone calls you to open your eyes in your ear, do not open them. Do not open your eyes. Li Xiang was extremely certain that this dean's mother was sent out in a strange way. Host, you can open your eyes for a second and then quickly close them. I believe there will be a lot of kill points. Shut up. Okay. Opening his eyes is definitely not possible. Li Xiang felt a lump sink on his head. If he opened his eyes, in less than a second, the strangeness would devour him completely. Next second. Little thought, get up quickly and help Auntie see if the new dress fits well. Upon hearing this voice, Li Xiang couldn't help but cry in his heart. This is the voice of the property management auntie. Lunch Rule 4. If the property management auntie talks to you about family matters, please be sure to respond to her. Now the problem arises. He couldn't be sure if he was asked by the property management auntie or if it was a strange act of pretending to be a property management auntie. If it's a strange act of pretending to be a property management auntie, just keep pretending to sleep on your own. But if it's a real property management auntie, you must respond. But now that the bell hasn't rang, Li Xiang can't open his eyes. Nap Rule 2. If someone calls you to open your eyes in your ear, don't open them. Don't open your eyes. The subconscious of this rule is nothing more than not letting the eerie see that you are awake, but it does not say that you cannot speak in a sleeping state. If it's eerie, Li Xiang sleepwalking while speaking with his eyes closed, as long as he's not caught pretending to be asleep, there shouldn't be too much problem. If no response is given to the real property management auntie's inquiry, it is a genuine violation of the rules. After much thought, I still think that sleepwalking response is the best solution. Li Xiang always feels like he has forgotten something. The voice of the property management aunt came again. Xiang, auntie's new dress has just arrived. Hurry up and help auntie check if it fits well. Do you need to return it? The tone remains unchanged and gentle, but the next second, Xiang, if you don't answer me again, auntie will be angry. A warm breath rushed towards Li Xiang's face, but he felt it was like the core of a venomous snake, cold and eerie. When he touched it, he felt goosebumps all over his body, and the chill in his heart was even greater. Li Xiang felt as if two villains were fighting in his heart. Li thought to himself. Quickly respond to her. If you don't respond, you'll die. Li thought, I can't respond. Who knows if the person who asked you to help check the dress is a real property management auntie. Li thought to himself, it's better to respond. If you don't respond, you will definitely die. If you respond, you may die. Fools know which one to choose. Li thought. No. No response allowed. While the two villains were discussing fiercely, Li Xiang was also deeply conflicted in his heart. He really wanted to speak up and respond, but for some reason he never spoke up. I always feel like there's a missing link somewhere, where is it? Who knows if the person who asked you to help check the dress is really a property management aunt. Chapter 6. Anxin Insurance. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Help, why haven't you responded to me yet? The voice of the property management aunt became eerie and urgent, but Li Xiang's heart was very calm. He made a decision. Just take a gamble. No matter how the property management aunt screamed and screamed, Li Xiang remained asleep without opening his eyes or responding. No matter how the property management auntie spoke, she did not attack Li Xiang, just like Li Xiang wearing a protective cover while falling asleep. The child's screams rang out, and the voice of the property management aunt came to a sudden halt. Li Xiang realized that it was the bell for him to wake up and slowly breathed a sigh of relief. I won the bet. Joyful Apartment Life Rules 6. If the property management auntie seeks your help, do not agree to it. If the lunch and nap rules are regarded as the specific rules of Huaxia apartment, then the living rules are the general rules of Huaxia apartment. The power of the general rules is higher than that of the specific rules. After turning on the TV and seeing the ghosts inside, Li Xiang realized that this was probably the eerie thing that would disturb him during a nap. If others hadn't checked the time on the computer, they probably wouldn't have thought that it was their gaze that contained the eerie movement. Li Xiang prepared in advance to force the eerie to get stuck in the TV. So the person in front of me who is looking at the new dress must be the property management lady, not the weird one. Helping Auntie take a look at this new dress is not only about chatting about family matters, but also seeking help. Talking about everyday life requires a response, seeking help but unable to respond. When both exist at the same time, Li Xiang can only gamble, and the overall status of life is above the lunch rule. He made the right bet. The rooms have already been explored almost, and if we want to find a way to leave the apartment, we need more apartment clues. It is not realistic for Li to rely on himself, and he needs the help of others. Fortunately, before leaving, I made an agreement with Jianhui and others to gather on the first floor in the afternoon and share the clues they found. Open the shoe cabinet, calmly press back on the ghost that was about to rush out, then calmly pick up a pair of shoes and close the cabinet door. A series of actions caused the system to crash slightly. Host, haven't you been scared? No, I'm very scared. You were so bold just now. Oh, neural reflex. Entering the hallway, the black garbage by the door had been taken away. Looking at the empty space in front of him, Li Xiang lowered his eyes and his heart sank suddenly. Sure enough, the garbage in my room can only be taken away by the cleaning lady if it is placed on the right side. Li Xiang has a bad conjecture in his heart, but he still needs the help of others to verify it. After all, Li Xiang didn't encounter any strange elevators this time, but he was afraid of encountering any accidents again, so he quickly walked downstairs. As I went downstairs, I was thinking about something I hadn't noticed before. The sound of the wheels heard in the morning suddenly appeared, which ruled out being pushed from upstairs to the fourth floor. So how did this sound suddenly appear? Corridor Rule 1. Huaxia apartment has no elevator. No elevator. If you see an elevator, please leave the floor immediately before the elevator door opens. Rules are the only way for players to survive in the Strange Talk Research Institute, but this does not mean that strangeness cannot be trapped within the rules. The system says that the corridor rules are correct. Would Huaxia apartment be just an elevator with no one taking it? This can also explain why Li wanted to hear the sudden sound of the wheels. Elevators are not meant for people to sit in, only eerie people can get on them. So the property management auntie can still reach the first floor so quickly wearing high heels that make a crisp sound. The high mortality rate of players is not unreasonable, Li Xiang sighed in his heart. There are 3 ways to pass the strange talk, and the last one Li Xiang didn't hesitate to rule it out. After living for 5 days, I'm not joking anymore. Now it's so difficult to survive for even half a day, let alone the less restrictions the rules have on the strange. The first method is to collect all seals of the park. Li Xiang has not been to the park yet and does not know how difficult it is to collect stamps, but he still wants to include this option as a selectable option. The second option is what Li Xiang is currently thinking about, finding a way to leave the apartment. During lunch, Li Xiang specifically looked at the door of the first floor apartment. The door was made up of 2 iron doors, with a fist-sized iron chain tied in the middle and locked by a lock. Whether it was a key lock or a password lock, Li Xiang did not see it. We need to take a closer look at the first floor this time. Li Xiang pondered in his heart. Strange, why did it take so long to go downstairs this time, and haven't we reached the first floor yet? Li Xiang regained his senses and saw the big 6F in the middle of the corridor. Turn around immediately and run. He was clearly going downstairs. How did he get to 6F? Huaxia apartment lifestyle code 7, correct version. Huaxia apartment has a 6th floor, but we cannot see the floor display as 6F. If we see it, we cannot stand still or wait for 3 seconds with our eyes closed. Now all Li Xiang can do is run. Run non-stop. Keep running until you can't see 6F. But no matter how Li wanted to run or change direction, just as he thought he had left the 6F and wanted to breathe a sigh of relief, the bright red 6F reappeared in Li Xiang's sight. As if playing tricks on him, Li Xiang had no choice but to run again. But there was no way he could keep running, so he had to run while his mind was racing and thinking. Why are you walking downstairs when you end up going upstairs? Why have I tried every direction, but still cannot break through the 6th floor? Running fiercely all the time, Li Xiang was so tired that he gasped for breath, but he didn't dare to stop. Dragging his tired body, his mind was almost blank at this moment, and the only thing he could think of was Rule 11. The life-saving talisman. Huaxia Apartment Rule 11. Guardians protect the personal safety of apartment residents. If in danger, please immediately call the security room number 584250. If only I could make a phone call, system, please help me make a phone call. Sorry dear, the system you dialed is temporarily unable to connect. Get lost, good host. The system was unreliable, there were no mobile phones around and I couldn't make phone calls to the security guards. My legs were shaking like a noodle, and I was about to lose my stability. Li Xiang's heart was wailing. Breaking the system, constantly claiming to be able to provide me with the maximum help, but unable to even make a phone call, deceiving me. Chapter 7. Maintenance Workers. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Wait, Li. Li Xiang's mind spun rapidly. It appears to be walking downstairs, but in reality, it is going upstairs, which is a visual deception. Not being able to run out of the 6th floor in any direction is also a visual deception. So, may it seem like changing direction, but in reality it's always the same direction. On a deeper level, may I not have run, but have been standing still. Why do I feel tired? Is it possible that I am also deceiving him? Although it was a conjecture, Li Xiang had a faint feeling in his heart that his guess was correct. He had always believed in his intuition and often relied on it to get through crises time and time again. Each staircase has a small platform for connection, and the place where you step in place is likely on this small platform. So the staircase in front of me is not a real staircase, where will the real staircase be? Li wanted to inhale and exhale, wanting to maintain a steady breath, while silently pondering. As the old saying goes, the most dangerous place is the safest place. If I were weird, in order to deceive humans, what should I turn the real staircase into? Is there any place that humans can easily rule out at a glance or not even look at? Or, in other words, places that humans subconsciously overlook. The gap between going up and down stairs. There are gaps for people to poke their heads out on the stairs on each floor, and when people look down, they can easily see the ground on the 1st floor. Subconsciously, people know that if they step into that gap, they will fall rapidly, so they will instinctively walk towards the side away from the gap. If I were weird, I would definitely set the stairs to have a gap that can be seen to the bottom at a glance. There is another benefit to this setting. Even if players realize that the gap may be a way to break through the 6F, do they dare to take this risk? Li Xiang dares. He was originally the only one left, so it would be nice to go find the dean's grandmother after death. Thinking this way, Li Xiang jumped off in one fell swoop. Safe landing, not dead. The guess was correct, and Li Xiang didn't know whether he was grateful or regretful. Looking at the floor again, for F. Turns out he never moved. There was no one on the 1st floor, only the property management lady sat on a chair, touching the paper in her hand like a baby. Paper. Isn't it some new rule paper? Looking at the expression on the face of the property management auntie, it seems that it's not it. Li wanted to approach tentatively, and the property management aunt took a moment to glance at him, then looked at his hand again, as if a dog saw its beloved flesh and bones. Step up behind the property management aunt and take a look. Always maintain youth. Insurance. Policyholder. Huaxia Apartment Property. Insured. Huaxia Apartment Property. Insured. Huaxia Apartment Property. What is the situation? Li wants to continue reading. Insurance amount. 1 million Strange Talk coins. Strange Talk coins. Insurance company. Anxin Insurance Company, Limited. Li Xiang was somewhat silent. Have businesses become part of the bizarre talk these days? At this moment, the property management ant seemed to have just seen Li Xiang, watching him staring intently at the insurance policy in his hand, displaying it generously and warmly introducing it to him. This insurance company is famous for its conscience. The insurance inside is only something you can't think of, and without peace of mind insurance, you can't do it. Thinking about what the insurance broker said, as long as they introduce new customers, there will be generous commissions. The insurance lady worked even harder to promote it. Auntie is almost 80 years old this year, and her face still looks like she's 20 years old, full of collagen. But it's all thanks to this eternal youth insurance. In order to buy this insurance, I invested all my belongings in it. The property management auntie touched her waist and felt a little heartbroken. Auntie, how should I buy this insurance? Li Xiang had some doubts. As far as he knew, each rule and rumor was an independent area and not interconnected. And how could this well-known conscience insurance company negotiate business amidst various bizarre rumors? Well, the property management auntie had a friendly expression on her face, and looking at Li Xiang's expression, it was as if she was looking at her own successful commission. We are all equipped with weird talk phones, and the first contact number in each phone is Anxin Insurance's phone number. When we call and say we want to buy insurance, someone will come to our door to discuss the specific insurance content. So humanized. Li Xiang is a bit curious. Auntie, I also want to buy insurance in Anxin Insurance, but what should I do if I don't have a phone? As the words fell, the property management aunt looked at him with a strange expression on her face. Li Xiang's heart tightened as she recalled whether she had said anything inappropriate. Immediately after, I heard the property management aunt say with a puzzled expression. There's no phone. So, Auntie has a spare phone that's not in use here, and there's also an Anxin insurance phone inside. You can buy it for 100 strange talk coins. 100 strange talk coins. There's no such thing as weird talk coins, I don't even know what they look like. The currency provided by the system is also the federal common currency. And so on. 250, do you have any strange talk coins? Of course there is. The system has all kinds of currencies. Okay. Can I use weird talk coins in weird talk? Of course you can. Why didn't you say it earlier? You didn't ask either. First, exchange 100 strange talk coins for me. System ID 00250. Spending 100 strange talk coins, deadly value .100, Li Xiang exchanged phones with the property management aunt, and his heart kept dripping with blood. 1 point kill value can be exchanged for 100 federal coins. But 1 death point can only be exchanged for 1 strange talk coin. What a high exchange rate. Strange talk phones are no different from real phones. After carrying them in my pocket for a while, Jiang Huai and others arrived. Li Xiang didn't say hello to them for the time being and continued chatting with the property management aunt. Nonsense, while the property management auntie is in a good mood, we must hurry up and say more. Do you know how garbage trucks usually enter and exit apartments? The property management auntie who gained unexpected income became particularly talkative. There are no vehicles entering or exiting our apartment, and the garbage has always been handled by the cleaning lady. I usually don't inquire about the duties of other staff members. Li Xiang nodded and pondered silently. The implication is that garbage will not be delivered to the public, so it seems that taking a garbage truck out is not a viable option. Since one of the ways to leave the bizarre talk is to find a way out of the apartment, there must be a direct way out. There must be some places I didn't notice. Suddenly thinking of the garbage that had been left at the door before, Li Xiang tentatively asked. Isn't it not good for the cleaning lady to only collect the garbage on the left side and not collect the garbage on the right side? As soon as the words fell, the property management aunt immediately lifted her head, her eyes gentle and unchanged, but a strange smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. Suddenly, a vortex appeared in her pupils, and black was about to cover the entire white of her eyes. Li Xiang thought to himself that it was not good. He must have touched its mold somewhere else and quickly called 250. Quickly exchange 50 strange talk coins for me. System number 00250. Spending 50 strange talk coins, dead value 0.50, take it out and quickly put it into the hands of the property management ant. Li Xiang apologized with a smile. I said the wrong thing just now. This is a small gesture of goodwill from me. Don't be angry, property management auntie. Chapter 8. Bedroom Rules. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. After a series of repetitive operations, he was eerily stunned, and the young companions on the side were also stunned. The property management auntie casually put 50 strange talk coins into her pocket and coughed lightly. For the sake of money, let's forget about it this time. Li wanted to continue apologizing. After the danger just now, he dared not speak to the property management ant again and quickly returned to Jianghuai and others. As soon as he passed, he was surrounded by 4 people. Huarong frowned fiercely and said with a serious expression, "What did you give it just now? Why didn't you get angry when you handed it to it?" The question was straightforward, and others looked over with puzzled eyes. Li Xiang's heart was dripping with blood, but the surface remained calm and indifferent. I also tried to bribe the common currency mentioned in the strange talk, but I didn't expect it to be successful. Where did you get it? By chance. This is not a lie either. He got the system by chance, and by chance, he found out about the strange talk coin. Relying on the system to take out the strange talk coin is also a coincidence. Very reasonable. But they don't believe it in Jianghuai. Huarong had some thoughts in her heart, but suddenly she smiled and said to Li Xiang, "If needed, you can come to the Strange Talk Research Institute to find me. I am Detective Huarong from the exploration area." Without waiting for Li to respond, he began to share his findings. It has to be said that Huarong has the ability to become a detective in the investigation area of the Strange Talk Research and Management Institute. Whether it's the location of the garbage at the door or the real way to curb the eerie TV, she pushed it out. Besides, she even found the bedroom rules in advance. Unfortunately, the content of the code was verbally expressed by Huarong, and 250 cannot scan which one is incorrect. Suddenly, Huarong clicked on Li Xiang, to be precise, the room where Li Xiang lived. Who lives in 404? Li Xiang snapped back and said, "What's wrong with me? It's okay." Huarong glanced at him with a look that Li Xiang couldn't see, and said calmly, "When I went downstairs, I saw a man carrying a repair toolbox enter your room." Li Xiang. Joyful Apartment Life Code 9. Maintenance workers will not enter residence rooms without reason. If maintenance workers are found in the room, please immediately check if there is anything wrong in the room. He couldn't sit still for an instant and wanted to go back to his room to see if there was any passive movement. But next, Lei Hu's words caught Li Xiang's attention. Lei Hu. Jianghuai and I live in 504, and when we went downstairs, we met the cleaning lady head on. Huaxia Apartment Life Rules 10. If you encounter a cleaning lady in the hallway and call out to you, please do not respond, do not turn back, and do not look her in the eye. Lei Hulao remembered this rule, avoided the sight of the cleaning lady, and walked down with Jianghuai without looking back. The stairs were just so narrow. After passing by her, I felt a voice in my mind urging me to turn back. That voice not only had the ability to bewitch, but also seemed to be able to manipulate. Looking back, Lei Hu was very scared. If it weren't for Jianghuai waking me up, I might. This is a very important piece of information, Li Xiang secretly remembered in his heart. She or the property management auntie, who is stronger? Huarong asked coldly. She. Returning to 404, Li Xiang's first task was to check if there were any abnormalities in the room. No matter how he searched, except for an extra piece of advertising paper placed on the coffee table, he found nothing else, nothing extra, and nothing missing. Is it difficult for him to come into my room just to put this thing? Li Xiang picked up the advertising paper and felt a cool sensation behind him in the next second, his eyes dazed. Opening his eyes again, he found himself in an inn with an ancient style, and Li Xiang looked at the plaque. Huang, Quan, Dart, Bureau. In an instant, the inn door creaked open, but there was no one inside. Li Xiang suddenly broke out in a cold sweat. Is it difficult to say that this place is really in the underworld? I don't know what will happen if I enter, so let's find a way to leave here. Thinking this way, Li Xiang turned around and faced an expressionless face, with a pale expression and cold, red eyes. Ah! Ghost! At the moment he screamed, the man frowned slightly and clicked his fingers out of thin air. The next second, Li Xiang will no longer be able to make a sound. Li Xiang's face was frightened, his eyes rolled around, and he couldn't speak. Super ability. Martial arts. Or ghost repair. Perhaps Li Xiang's gaze was too direct and easy to understand. As the man dragged him to the inn, "Oh no, the escort agency," he calmly explained. "This is Huangquan Escort Agency. According to your statement, it is a security company that works as a bodyguard for people." "Oh. Someone who works as a bodyguard, I told you earlier. Nowhere is there anyone in this place. But I came in through strange advertising paper. How did ordinary people come to this place when the company was established?" "Wait." Li Xiang felt his head slightly swollen and sat on the sofa at the inn, taking the hot tea handed over by the man. "Thank you." "No need to thank you, anyway, you will also be a member of our company in the future." "Oh. What?" Li Xiang instantly regained his senses, stuttering inexplicably as he looked at the man with a natural expression. "Why are you so certain? You have already bound it, our company's products." Seeing that the man still looks like you don't want to default, Li Xiang's eyes are blurred. No matter how Li Xiang recalled it, he had never seen this man before, let alone bound his company's products. The man suddenly thought of something and said, "You all call it a system there. I sensed that you came into contact with the conveyor paper placed in your room, and I immediately came over." Oh, Li Xiang suddenly realized that he had placed the advertisement in his room, "You are the maintenance worker of Huaxia apartment." Li thought to himself. "My name is Yu, an employee of the Huangquan Escort Agency. Maintenance workers are just my part-time job," the man nodded lightly and corrected. Li Xiang was greatly shocked and suddenly felt an inexplicable excitement in his heart. "I actually sat face to face with Strange and was about to become Strange's colleague. Will I be able to walk freely in the Strange talk in the future?" Chapter 9. Mirror in the Mirror. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. No, you have to conceal your identity as an employee at the Huangquan Escort Agency. A word is like pouring a basin of cold water. Not only that, you also need to have at least one rule joke every month. Looking at this job that was completely unprofitable, Li Xiang felt reluctant and wanted to refuse. If you refuse, the company will immediately retrieve the product bound to you, and you will not receive any assistance or rewards. Li Xiang. What else can we do? Sign it. The system has retrieved it, who will tell themselves which rules are true and which are false. I finally got my weird phone and haven't saved enough money to buy insurance yet. How can the system take it back? So, Li Xiang became the only employee of the Huangquan Escort Agency. Another one is Yu, a part-time maintenance worker. Li Xiang felt deeply deceived. After being sent back to 404 by another employee, it was already 19 p.m. Yu took the advertising paper placed on the coffee table and left the room. He said that this thing was not what Huaxin apartment should have and could not be discovered. He took it and destroyed it. There is a separate small toilet in the bedroom, a large bed, and a small table with drawers. The room is small but looks very crowded. The toilet door is closed. The red curtains were tightly pulled. There is a neatly arranged row of plush toys on the pillow. If it were a regular plush toy, Li Xiang would only find it very cute, but the plush toy in front of him, the doll's mouth was very wide open, but it was sewn with needle and thread. Its black eyes stared straight at him, and Li Xiang could even see himself from his eyes. Looking at this plush doll, Li Xiang always felt a bit familiar, as if I've seen it somewhere before. According to Hua Rong's description, Li Xiang successfully found the bedroom rule paper. Bedroom rules: there is no mirror in the bedroom. If you encounter a mirror, please immediately cover it with a red cloth. If you accidentally look at the mirror, please poke your eyes out of the mirror and cover it with a red cloth. 2. Please close the window tightly and close the curtains before falling asleep. Before using the toilet, you should knock on the door and ask, "May I come in?" If the toilet door is tightly closed, it indicates that there is someone inside and you need to wait for 5 minutes before knocking again. Host, everything is correct. Li Xiang breathed a sigh of relief, so all he needed to do was follow the correct rules. I don't know why I always feel uneasy in my heart. Shaking his head and suppressing the unease in his heart, Li Xiang began to follow the rules step by step. Happy Apartment Lifestyle Code 8, correct version. Black pills are dangerous and cannot be taken. Lock the door before 20 p.m., turn off all power in the room, and fall asleep. First, unplug the electrical plug of each type of appliance, and then go to the living room to unplug the main power switch. Suddenly thinking of something, Li Xiang took out the weird talk phone from his pocket, and it was indeed still in the power-on state. Before leaving, Yu said, "Remember to turn off all electrical appliances before going to bed at night. Remember, it's all." It is emphasized that Li Xiang tends to believe that this person knows they have a phone in their pocket. I was about to shut down, but after thinking about it, I added the security room phone and set it as an emergency contact before shutting down. That's okay. It should be no problem now. Just in case, Li Xiang checked all the power plugs again, and after confirming, he locked all the locked doors, including the toilet. The toilet room is directly locked with a key, and I don't know what the original residence used to be. They actually inserted the key to the toilet room directly on the door without removing it. This also facilitates Li Xiang now. The windows have always been locked, and the curtains are also tightly closed. Although everything was done according to the rules, Li Xiang's unease not only did not disappear, but also intensified. In the past, intuition helped Li Xiang avoid many dangers. He had always believed in intuition, but now he inexplicably doubts whether his intuition has gone wrong. Li Xiang. Forget it, don't think anymore. The more you think, the more annoyed your heart becomes. Go to sleep. At the moment he lay in bed, Li Xiang felt the exhaustion of the day dissipate instantly and quickly fell into deep sleep. He, who was breathing at a steady pace, did not see the slight twinkling of the baby's eyes on the bedside. I didn't hear it either. Death value plus 500. In the middle of the night, Li Xiang vaguely felt someone gently pushing him, constantly pushing him. Li Xiang felt a bit impatient and slowly opened his eyes. Without any defense, he suddenly saw a humanoid doll standing in front of him. The curtains were opened at some point, revealing the round red moon outside. The doll's eyes emitted a red light, and the thread sewn on its mouth was torn open. The corners of its mouth were wide open, eerie to the extreme. He suddenly woke up and his pupils contracted. Immediately afterwards, he felt the pain of tearing his lips and reached out to touch it, covered in blood. In addition, I also feel that there seem to be some small holes around my lips. These small holes, it's like being pierced by a needle or thread. The doll's eyes were even clearer and brighter under the moonlight, and he could even clearly see his frightened face inside. At this moment, Li Xiang finally realized where the unease in his heart came from. It was his carelessness. The previous success made him feel a bit complacent, thinking that with the system, this golden finger could easily pass the level, but he still took it lightly. Bedroom Rule 1. There is no mirror in the bedroom. The double quotation marks on both sides of the mirror symbolize the uniqueness of this word. What he should have thought of long ago was that a mirror can reflect clearly on oneself, but not only glass can reflect clearly on oneself, there are many things in life that can be achieved. For example, the eyeballs of a doll. I'm dying. This is the dark thought in Li Xiang's heart before his eyes. Opening his eyes again, there was nothing in front of him, and Li Xiang felt like he was falling infinitely. After an unknown amount of time, a dull voice sounded, and Li wanted to slowly prop himself up. No, not dead. He looked around. There's actually nothing to see around, besides darkness, there's still darkness. The only thing on my head is two bright red full moons hanging high. Seeing these two red moons, Li Xiang instantly realized it. He is inside the doll's body. After seeing the two big red eyeballs of the doll, Li Xiang immediately lost consciousness. And then, we arrived here. Surrounded by darkness, he dared not even take a step, fearing that taking a wrong step would lead him into the abyss. System. Chapter 10. Top Floor Park. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. He silently called out to the system in his heart, but for some reason there was no response. In this claustrophobic environment, his inner fear was infinitely amplified, his breathing was somewhat rapid, and his whole body was trembling. Taking a deep breath, Li Xiang gritted his teeth, his nails tightly gripping his palms, desperately trying to stay calm, pondering his current situation. How should I get out? I will enter the doll's body because its eyeballs are also a mirror. Joyful Apartment Bedroom Rule 1. If you encounter a mirror, immediately cover it with a red cloth. If you unfortunately get caught in the mirror, immediately poke out your own eyes in the mirror and cover it with a red cloth. Li Xiang said, I came up with a solution, but the mirror is the eyeball of a doll, which has now turned into a red moon in the sky. What should we do with the mirror in the sky? See these two mirrors, as well as the two selves in the mirror. Li Xiang in the mirror stared straight at him, and suddenly a smile with the same radiance as that of the doll appeared on his mouth. Immediately after, countless needles and threads emerged from somewhere, one stitch at a time, sewing onto Li Xiang's mouth. Although this was what Li Xiang had suffered in the mirror, for some reason, he himself shuddered and a faint pain came from his mouth. As the pain in his mouth became more severe, Li Xiang suddenly realized that the harm suffered by the person in the mirror would synchronize with the real person. We can't continue like this anymore. If unfortunately you get caught in the mirror, you must immediately poke out your eyes in the mirror and cover them with a red cloth. It's easy to cover the mirror with red cloth, and the curtains in the room are made of red cloth. Just poke your own eyes out of the mirror. Li Xiang is in a predicament. I can't even touch the mirror now, let alone touch myself inside the mirror. Ah! At some point, a humanoid doll appeared in the mirror. A scream of agony erupted, and Li wanted to cover his mouth. He felt thousands of holes poking out around his lips at this moment. The liquid flowed into Li Xiang's mouth with a strong rust smell. It's blood. Looking in the mirror again, the humanoid doll was giggling, holding a needle in its hand. Trapped in fear, he suddenly felt a huge pulling force on both sides of his mouth. Li Xiang's mouth couldn't control itself and kept rising. His lips cracked open. A large stream of blood gushed out suddenly. Li Xiang's eyes widened, he stretched out two fingers and poked them into his own eyes. The doll emitted a piercing scream. Guess it right. In the mirror, one's own touch can be transmitted to the real Li Xiang, so similarly, can the actions made by the real Li Xiang be feedback to oneself in the mirror. The conjecture is like this, but to take practical action, it requires a great deal of determination. After all, conjectures may not necessarily be true. If they are wrong, then the consequences are not something that Li Xiang, who is currently in the midst of strange rules, can bear. Fortunately, he won the bet again. He kept touching his eyeballs, but Li Xiang's movements didn't stop, he continued to poke inside. Suddenly exerting force, a sound similar to a balloon explosion made Li Xiang's eyes turn black again. On the bedroom bed, Li Xiang trembled suddenly, covering his eyes and rolling incessantly, unable to regain consciousness for a long time. The pain just now still lingers in his memory. Feeling the touch on my body, I realized that I had returned to the room again. Li Xiang did not forget the second half of the rule. Cover the mirror with a red cloth. Li Xiang opened his red eyes, enduring intense pain, and wanted to bring the doll placed by the bedside to the red curtain. But with a touch, it felt empty. Li Xiang. Where's the doll? The curtains were wide open, the red moon in the sky returned to normal, and the doll disappeared without a trace. Everything seemed normal, and he thought he had hallucinations before. 250, Li Xiang tentatively shouted, but still did not receive a response. His heart sank suddenly. I haven't escaped yet, I'm still in the mirror. This is Li Xiang's intuition. But a hint of confusion flashed in Li Xiang's eyes, and the scenes before him were all very real. The previous sense of corruption, the strong smell of rust dripping into his mouth, and the intense pain after piercing his eyes. Everything is so real, is it all fake? No, it's true. Everything I experienced just now is true, and the situation I am currently in is also true. It's just that he's still inside the doll's body. Mirror in the mirror. He has cracked the first mirror, and now he needs to find the second mirror. But no, Li Xiang searched the entire room, there were no dolls or mirrors. None of them, did you guess wrong? Li Xiang fell into confusion and suddenly had an idea. There is still one place I haven't searched for, toilet. The toilet was locked with a key before Li Xiang went to bed, but now the key is nowhere to be seen. Li Xiang's heart was settled, and his intuition helped him find the right direction. Gripping the handle tightly, I was about to open the door when suddenly I remembered the bedroom rules. Bedroom Rule 3. Before using the restroom, you should knock on the door and ask, "May I come in?" If the restroom door is tightly closed, it indicates that there is someone inside and you need to wait for 5 minutes before knocking again. Bend your fingers slightly and gently knock on the door. As soon as his voice came out, Li Xiang was surprised to find his voice trembling uncontrollably. He swallowed his saliva and said, "May I come in?" Don't have any more accidents. Perhaps hearing Li Xiang's inner voice, the next second, the door handle turned autonomously, and in his shocked eyes, the toilet door slowly opened. Except for a squatting pit, the toilet was empty and could be seen all the way at a glance. Seeing that there was nothing he wanted, Li Xiang stood outside the door and glanced before closing it. If he enters the restroom, there may be some accidents, he's not stupid. Unable to find the doll and still in the mirror, Li Xiang strangely calmed down and began to recall all the things that had gone wrong before. Why do you see yourself reflected in the eyes of a humanoid doll, but not think of the mirror in the rules? Whether in the hallway or in the living room, one can always remember the rules. Why are the curtains wide open? Why did the key on the toilet suddenly disappear, and where did the key go? Also, why did you immediately fall asleep as soon as you got into bed? Having gone through all the previous experiences, it is impossible for me to be alert and fall asleep unprepared in strange conversations. Is there a possibility that I entered the mirror very early? When locking the toilet? Or when I saw the doll? Or when you step into the bedroom? No, first rule out, just stepping into the bedroom. After finding the rule paper in the bedroom, the system also scanned and confirmed it was correct. A system is a more advanced product than nonsense, and it cannot replicate the sound of the system. When was it that I couldn't hear the sound of the system?